Danger zone. You have to stop sulking eventually, Chonky reminds Hugh sometime later. There's no shame in being the first one out if it was by a surprise vector. The training exercise had lasted another 2 hours after Hugh had been taken down. He was the first one out, and it had taken a half hour before anyone else joined him in the break room. Plenty of time for him to get into a foul mood over being the first one out. If others had joined in during the first 10 minutes, then he wouldn't be bothered, but as it is. Hugh very pointedly sulks even harder, a hard task when he's balanced on the oversized Platon's shoulder, made harder when the cretin bounces him and forces him to restabilize himself. His little toes grab onto the harder edges of his fellow pilot's natural armor and he hisses downward at him. "You don't get to ride the leather skin express if you're sulking," Chonky remarks, and Hugh sighs. For crying out loud, it's just one exercise. But I was the first one down. That's horrible. It was a bullshit attack that no one saw coming. It's fine. Chonky returns and Hugh huffs. "All right, that's it. If you want to be a little shit, you can walk under your own power." Then the big hand of the disproportionately muscular Platon comes up and pries him off before setting him down. "Keep up, little guy." Hugh huffs a few breaths and just lets it out in a big, sighing groan of frustration. He was downed first today. He needs to be better. He will be better. He's red 5. Hugh too. He's going to be the ace of aces among the pilots, and there's nothing his short stature, coincidence, or the galaxy can do to stop him. He's going to be better than the best, and that's that. He races after Chonky and pulls ahead to slide into the meeting room, and he climbs up onto the back of one of the taller chairs. He then uses the headrest as his seat and takes a relaxed pose. Of course he's fine. He's going to be the best, and this was just a speed bump, not an obstacle. What do the humans call it? He will be undaunted by this challenge. "All right, we saw a lot of shit out there today. We've seen how our own sensors can be a weakness if someone's being a smartass with them. We've seen hidden obstacles covered in sensor-baffling materials, and we've seen enough chaff and flack to simulate flying through a rainstorm, if rain were also highly reflective metal." Triple D begins after the last Red Squadron member to arrive sits down. It was Heifer. Unless the big man was in his pilot's seat or there was an emergency, he moved at his own slow and comfortable pace. Hugh could respect that. "Freaking unfair to be taken out so quickly," Hugh mutters. He's apparently still bitter. That's annoying. Better it happen now among friendlies than later with unfriendlies. We need to learn to recognize the warning signs of our own sensors failing or being used against us. I hate to say it, but we'll need to do a few flights with our sensors off, or at least severely limited, to get around this. The Drin commander of the squad says, and there's some groaning. But that reduces our effective range to just a couple of kilometers at most. Knife-fighting range in space battles and still too damn close in atmospheric encounters. Manic complains, and there's a lot of nodding around the room. If Manic of all lunatics thinks something is too dangerous, then it's way out of line. No choice, I'm afraid. Our sensors can be attacked and used to disable our ships. We need to be functional without them, and the only way we're getting that is by turning them off and flying with eyeballs alone. Not all of us can sense the electromagnetic spectrum, or have 6 arms for that matter. Double Tap remarks bitterly, "I get it. It sucks. Besides, what do I look like? A rabbi's? Extra arms or not, I'm going to have a miserable time trying to keep up with things. Besides, the controls of our fighters are geared towards a two-handed setup. My extra limbs are just there for stabilization," Triple D admits. There was a clear theme to today's madness, and it was sensors. So we need answers. "More sensors?" Hugh asks, and everyone looks at him. Shit, that was snark. He needs more than that. "Care to explain?" Triple D asks, putting him further on the spot. "Well, if we had a second set, Or a small series of different types of sensors we could switch between, then we could get around a lot of this right. Something's wrong with one? Switch to another, and keep doing it to keep the enemy off your particular bandwidth. Hugh bullshit and the room goes quiet. It would take a bit, but if we gotta work on that, Birdbrain muses as he scratches his chin. We should still train with the sensors off, but backups, especially of some lighter tech, is never a bad thing. How are the sensors light? There's the entire array system and the housing of the damn thing. Contrail pushes. Well, what if we just swap out the computers? Each one interprets the data differently, meaning each one requires an entirely different kind of virus to hit. The internal processors and memory can all be crunched down into a piece the size of your finger. Get a dozen of them around a dial and you can just swap them out at a whim. But that leaves us without sensors for a second or two, Triple D says. We should still train without using them. But this is a good idea, a very good idea. By shifting around our sensor data interpretation, we can get a more complete picture of things and avoid all sorts of electronic warfare in one move. Good thinking, gentlemen. It might get us around the chaff and flack too. Looking at things from one angle really screw with you. Look at them a different way and you can find a way around. Contrail adds. If we find another way to get through, then we can get our fighters into positions far before we're expected. This will open up a lot of enemies for a plasma pummeling. Ah, yay! All the more reason to do it. Let's get started. Double tap cheers. We do this officially. We are not just ripping apart our birds so we can half-ass an upgrade. We're getting the engineers and getting it done right. Don't you trust us? Double tap asks teasingly. I trust you to blow shit up Red 6. Otherwise, no. I don't trust you with anything we don't want shot, melted, or blown to bits. I feel like I should be insulted. Double tap notes with a grin and then chuckles. Right, so I need to talk to Admiral Sidewinder and get things moving. Still, I would say we got what we were looking for today. Good meeting, team. Triple D says, we're done. Go have fun or whatever you idiots do on your own time. Sir, you need to relax. Everyone needs time to rest, Giggles says before he leaves the room. This isn't going to take long, then I can take a load off. Triple D assures the ironically nicknamed pilot, then leaves entirely. Right. Well, since that's everything, I'm heading home. Movie night. Hugh says before jumping off the back of the chair and into the cushion, and he springs off it before walking off with his hands behind his head and a grin on his face. Actually solving the problem had done wonders to improving his mood. Being a part of the answer? Even better. It's still a bit of a weight in that the massive defense ship was slowly descending to Vuka's surface. Slower paces are good, less interference with traffic, less chance to break a flock of birds, and it's a lot easier on the inertial dampeners. It still means it takes nearly a full half hour to go from orbit to ground, a very long period of time. Still, Hugh supposed things could be worse. They could be stuck like the humans in Cruel Space were, with little in the way of spaceflight technologies. Poor bastards. The door opens and Hugh gladly starts racing down the stairs, even as they continue extending. He's short, so even though he's jogging, they're still fully extended by the time he gets there. A bit more moving around and he gets to his flying platform. It reads his biometrics the moment he steps on and activates fully, the main control podium contracting down to his level, and he quickly takes off. The wind over his scales and blowing back his jacket feels amazing. It's markedly different from flying his fighter, but that's why he loved it all the same. It was freeing. It was freedom. From atop his vehicle, it didn't matter how short he was or how frail his muscles. He was equal to, if not outright better than everyone else. He was free. He guns the acceleration and the city is a blur around him. He weaves around the fluttering things that are local urban adapted birds and even reaches out to lightly brush the tail of a terrified animal as he passes by. Too close by the animal's standards, but he's just fine by his. Even now, 6 months after everything had changed, there's construction. There's building and repair work being done all over the place. Most of it he flies clean over, but some of the taller buildings have work being done on them as well. He gives them a wide berth. He protects this world, so it would be kind of self-defeating to cause it damage. Deliberately. His home is, well, it's his. It was something he had picked up from the Undaunted. He had his own home. He wasn't just some child living with his mother. He wasn't just some poor little boy being guarded by his supposed pimp. He wasn't just some husband who was sheltered from the outside world, small or not. Young or not, he was his own man and had his own home and job to go with it. There was a power to responsibility, a strength to relying on yourself. He hadn't noticed himself at first, but he had stood a little taller after buying his own home. His home, not his mother's, not Madame Horny's, and not his wives. His. They were welcome in his home, but it was his, and that meant quite a bit. Of course, that also meant that a fair number of them spent more time in his home than their own, but that was fine. It was still his, and his home has a reinforced roof for parking that also has an automatic force field projector for when it rains. He descends and lands softer than a whisper. His platform is something he's customized himself and knows how to use. "Hugh, Hugh!" his mother calls out, somehow able to know when he's returned even though he landed with so little noise that it was nearly a vacuum of sound. She's up on the platform before he can even fully power it down and giving him a warm hug. "I'm okay, Mom. Just routine training and flying." I know, she says, before giving him an extra squeeze. He steps back to look at her, really look at her. Humans get too distracted by hips, chests, and lips. He sees the touches of damage on some of her skin, little patch marks and shifts in texture that speak of long-term deprivation and repeating harm, the wariness and weariness around her eyes. The physical pains she's suffered are fading, but the mental ones, the scars of mind and soul, that will take much, much longer to heal. He needs to keep her safe. They spent so long doing everything they could to shelter him, but now he's going to shelter them. They will be safe. "Come on, it is movie night, so I've already made the snacks," Humir says happily, and Hugh chuckles ruefully. "Really? I was hoping to get on that a bit myself. You don't have to work so hard," he says, and she waves him off. "I organize and direct primitive mining drones, compared to before it's a vacation that I get paid for. It's actually pretty interesting stuff," Humir says gently, waving off his concerns. "Oh, and your sister Smitha is going to be coming along. Apparently there's not only a huge bumper crop coming in with the crops, but she's been studying geology. Been doing better than me at it. Smart girl, that one." "I was checked in on by Franklin earlier, actually. I was one of the first pilots disabled, so I had a longer break than the others. We talked a bit. I didn't know he teleported around the whole world daily to check on military affairs. They're a very serious people when it comes to keeping things safe. You won't find me complaining, though. If they're going to be paranoid and over the top about keeping Vuxa safe, then it's all the better and no one with any sense will complain. It's much easier to have a good life in a safer place."